Sunan ibn Majah Hadith number 1 Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet said, "Whatever I have commanded you, do it, and whatever I have forbidden you, refrain from it." Hadees No. 2 Hadees No number 3 Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet said, "Leave me as I have left you. Don't ask me the minor things that I have avoided to tell you. For those who came before you were doomed because of their questions and differences with their prophets. If I commanded you to do something, then do as much of it as you can, and if I forbid you from doing something, then refrain from it." Hadees No number 4 Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet said, "Whoever obeys me, obeys Allah, and whoever disobeys me, disobeys Allah." Abu Ja'far said, whenever Ibn Umar heard a hadith from the Messenger of Allah, he would not do more than it said, and he would not do less. Hadees No. number 5 Abu Darda said, "The Messenger of Allah came out to us when we were speaking of poverty and how we feared it. He said, 'Is it poverty that you fear? By the one in whose hand is my soul, the delights and luxuries of this world will come to you in plenty, and nothing will cause the heart of any one of you to deviate except that. By Allah, I am leaving you upon something like Badr, white, bright, clear path, the night and day of which are the same." Hadees No number 6 Muawiyah bin Qurra narrated that his father said, "The Messenger of Allah said, a group of my ummah will continue to prevail and they will never be harmed by those who forsake them, until the hour begins." Hadees No number 7 Abu Hurairah narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "A group of my ummah will continue to adhere steadfastly to the command of Allah and those who oppose them will not be able to harm them." Hadees No number 8 Abu Inabar al-Qawlani said that the Messenger of Allah said, "Allah will continue to plant new people in this religion and use them in his obedience." Hadees No number 9 Amr bin Shu'aib narrated that his father said, Muawiyah stood up to deliver a sermon and said, "Where are your scholars? Where are your scholars? For I heard the Messenger of Allah say, the hour will not begin until a group of my ummah will prevail over the people, and they will not care who lets them down and who supports them." Hadees No number 10 It was narrated from Thawban that the Messenger of Allah said, "A group among my ummah will continue to follow the truth and prevail, and those who oppose them will not be able to harm them, until the command of Allah comes to pass." Hadees No number 12 Mikdam bin Madi Karib al-Kindi narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Soon there will come a time that a man will be reclining on his pillow, and when one of my hadith is narrated he will say, 'The book of Allah is sufficient between us and you. Whatever it states is permissible, we will take as permissible, and whatever it states is forbidden, we will take as forbidden. Verily, whatever the Messenger of Allah has forbidden is like that which Allah has forbidden." Hadees No number 13 It was narrated from Ubaydullah bin Abu Rafi from his father, that the Messenger of Allah said, "I do not want to find any one of you reclining on his pillow, and when bad news comes to him of something that I have commanded or forbidden, he says, 'I do not know, whatever we find in the book of Allah, we will follow.'" Hadees No number 14 Aisha narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Whoever innovates something in this matter of ours, i.e. Islam, that is not part of it, will have it rejected." Hadees No number 14 It was narrated from Urwa bin Zubair that Abdullah bin Zubair told him that A man from the Ansar had a dispute with Zubair in the presence of the Messenger of Allah, concerning a stream in the Hara which they used to irrigate the date palm trees. The Ansari said, "Let the water flow," but Zubair refused. So they referred that dispute to the Messenger of Allah, who said, "Irrigate your land, O Zubair, and then let the water flow to your neighbor." The Ansari became angry and said, "O Messenger of Allah, is it because he is your cousin?" The face of the Messenger of Allah changed color because of anger, and he said, "O Zubair, irrigate your land, then block the water until it flows back to the walls around the date palm trees." Zubair said, "By Allah, I think that this verse was revealed concerning this matter. But no, by your Lord, they can have no faith, until they make you, O Muhammad, judge in all disputes between them, and find in themselves no resistance against your decisions, and accept them with full submission." Hadees No. number 16. It was narrated from Ibn Umar that the Messenger of Allah said, "Do not prevent the female slaves of Allah from praying in the mosque." A son of his said, "We will indeed prevent them." He got very angry and said, "I tell you a hadith from the Messenger of Allah, and you say, we will indeed prevent them." Hadees No. number 17. It was narrated from Sa'id bin Jubayr that Abdullah bin Mughaffal was sitting beside a nephew of his. The nephew hurled a pebble and he told him not to do that, and he said, "The Messenger of Allah had forbidden that." He, the Prophet, said, "It cannot be used for hunting and it cannot harm an enemy, but it may break a tooth or put an eye out." He said, his nephew hurled another pebble and he, Abdullah bin Mughaffal, said, "I tell you that the Messenger of Allah forbade that, and you go hurl another pebble. I will never speak to you again." Hadees No. number 18. It was narrated from Ishaq bin Qabasar from his father that Ubadah bin Samit al-Ansari, head of the army unit, the companion of the Messenger of Allah, went on a military campaign with Muawiyah in the land of the Byzantines. He saw people trading pieces of gold for dinar and pieces of silver for dirham. He said, "O people, you are consuming riba, usury. For I heard the Messenger of Allah say, do not sell gold for gold unless it is like for like. There should be no increase and no delay between the two transactions." Muawiyah said to him, "O Abu Walid, I do not think there is any riba involved in this, except in cases where there is a delay." Ubadah said to him, "I tell you a hadith from the Messenger of Allah, and you tell me your opinion. If Allah brings me back safely, I will never live in a land in which you have authority over me." When he returned, he stayed in Al-Madinah, and Umar bin Khattab said to him, "What brought you here, O Abu Walid?" So he told him the story, and what he had said about not living in the same land as Muawiyah. Umar said, "Go back to your land, O Abu Walid, for what a bad land is the land from where you and people like you are absent." Then he wrote to Muawiyah and said, "You have no authority over him. Make the people follow what he says, for he is right." Hadees No. number 20. It was narrated that Ali bin Abu Talib said, "When I narrate a hadith from the Messenger of Allah to you, then think of him as being the best, the most rightly guided and the one with the utmost taqwa, piety, righteousness." Hadees No. number 22. It was narrated from Abu Salama that Abu Hurairah said to a man, "O son of my brother, when I narrate a hadith of the Messenger of Allah to you, then do not try to make any examples for it." Hadees No. Number 23. Amr bin Maymun said, I used to visit Ibn Mas'ud every Thursday afternoon, but he never uttered the words, the Messenger of Allah said. Then one evening, he said, the Messenger of Allah said, then he let his head hang down. He said, I looked at him and saw his shirt was unfastened, his eyes were filled with tears, and his veins were bulging out with fear. He said, or more than that, or less than that, or close to that, or something similar. Hadees No. Number 24. Muhammad bin Sirin said, whenever Anas bin Malik finished narrating a hadith from the Messenger of Allah, he would say, or as the Messenger of Allah said. Hadees No. Number 25. It was narrated that Abdur Rahman bin Abi Layla said, we said to Zayd bin Arqam, tell us a hadith from the Messenger of Allah. He said, we have grown old and have forgotten, and narrating a hadith from the Messenger of Allah is difficult, not a simple matter. Hadees No. Number 26. It was narrated that Abdullah bin Abu Safar said, I heard Ash-Shabi saying, I sat with Ibn Umar for a year and I did not hear him narrate anything from the Messenger of Allah. Hadees No. Number 27. It was narrated from Ibn Tawus that his father said, I heard Ibn Abbas saying, we used to memorize a hadith, and a hadith were memorized from the Messenger of Allah. But if you go to the extremes of either exaggeration or negligence in narrating a hadith, there is no way we can trust your hadith. Hadees No. Number 29. It was narrated that Sa'id bin Yazid said, I accompanied Sa'd bin Malik from Al-Madinah to Makkah and I did not hear him narrate a single hadith from the Prophet. Hadees No. Number 30. It was narrated from Abdur Rahman bin Abdullah bin Mas'ud that his father said, the Messenger of Allah said, whoever tells lies about me deliberately, let him take his place in hell. Hadees No. Number 31. It was narrated from that Ali said, the Messenger of Allah said, do not tell lies about me, for telling lies about me leads to hell, fire.